Right, it's Monday morning back at Clark's Golf Centre, but a bit of a change of background, change in bay. We've moved 20-30 yards right and into the bay of PGA Professional Barry Taylor. Barry is pretty much resident here, Barry, every day, 6 days a week, is it?
About 60 hours a week, yeah. 60
hours a week, you always find him here. And he's decided to take on the challenge of looking at the average golfer's swing, mate. So good luck with that one.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I've seen you swing a little bit on YouTube, obviously, so
yeah.
Got a bit of a head
start. There's plenty to work. You see, it's a good project.
There's plenty of room for improvement. So.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. So where are we going to start then? What's the...
First of all, obviously, I know your handicap's 8.
Yeah.
Have you set yourself any targets for the year at all? You got anything there?
And one of the problems I have, and I mentioned it quite a bit, is that I don't play anywhere near as much golf out there on the course I should do. So that's one, and I'm going the wrong way in terms of my handicap as well. That's a point to mention. I'm going backwards. So and I think it's largely due to practice time and literally time in a competitive environment on the course as well. So
obviously the important thing for that when you're not playing as much is to get good mechanics in your swing, really.
Okay.
So, you know, if you've got a swing that's reliant on timing, and you've not got much time to practice, it's not going to look after you.
Whereas you can rely on the sort of more.
You can make it more solid. Short term, maybe a bit of practice in the shop to improve things, change things, but eventually it'll be, need less maintenance. So.
Yeah.
Okay,
so getting some good mechanics in my swing then, mate.
That's the goal. Yeah, to improve impact ultimately. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's all that matters really. Okay. But how we get there, sometimes we have a poor impact position. We can make the impact better, but it's not really getting there now the best way we want it to be. So,
okay.
So the goal is to good strike, good flight, good power. We need the distance really, don't we? So.
Okay.
So your general ball flight, when you're playing well, when you're playing bad, does it change?
I've always hit the ball too high, I'd probably say. I've always had a very, we just launched on my 7-iron there, you've seen, is always on the higher side.
Okay.
I play at Heswell Golf Club and it's a bit windy down there, so it's not the ideal ball flight, to be fair. So, and if, to be fair, I vary between two swing shapes as well, is that if I've been playing well over the years, I've hit a draw would be the polite way of putting it, and when it's bad, it's a hook.
Okay.
But then I've always got the kind of a safer route of hitting a bit of a fade as well, which has kind of been my when I'm struggling a bit, I'll probably
go back to that.
Dolly round with a fade.
Okay. Right.
And I don't know again. So where I should be concentrating.
Yeah. Let's have a look at a few swings then.
Okay.
High. Okay. So high flights. We look at your grip first. Your grip, I say, is classed as pretty strong there.
Pretty strong, yeah.
Put a line down the middle of the shaft.
Yeah.
If this bone here is to the left of the shaft as I'm looking, that's classed as strong. Knuckles is a nice guide, but it's really that line and where that bone on your wrist is going to be relative to that line. Okay, top of the backswing.
Yeah.
A little bit on the flat side.
Okay.
And then this is the move we want to really work a little bit on.
Just coming over the top of it.
Is that over move? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the high flight starts.
Okay.
Once you're throwing it out, by the time you get to the ball, you're going to be hitting it.
Yeah.
You're sweeping it, hitting it with a level shaft, maybe a slightly leaning shaft, but nowhere near as leaning forwards is what we want. At that point, again, you've released out a little bit early. So this angle here.
Well, you want the club head further back?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We definitely want that. That's widened out quite early, really.
Yeah.
But you've already made that move at the top of the swing area. You've already sort of started to throw a little bit.
Yeah.
Move it down. So if you put a line in along your left arm, club head behind the line. We want to keep it there. Yeah, we want to try to keep it there for as long as we can, really. Then I put an extension down your left arm there.
Yeah.
Club head's overtaken a little bit.
So that's where that on the sort of upswing again, is it?
Effectively, yeah. You're adding loft.
Yeah.
So on this swing, which actually gone pretty straight, you've just really added loft.
Yeah.
When you get a bit hooky, there'll be a bit of roll in there.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
But actually, you're not doing that today.
Yeah.
But I've seen obviously a bit of YouTube now. I guess a bit of that. But yeah, definitely overtook a little bit early.
Yes.
Adding loft. So we need to. That's the symptom, if you like. High launch, not enough shaft lean.
Yeah.
The shaft's pretty vertical. We want it leaning forwards
you want the hands forward and the club head behind.
Yeah.
At impact.
So we use that line.
Yeah.
An extension of the left arm.
Yeah.
Still behind. Just overtaking around the impact area. Adding loft, adding spin.
Yeah.
And then you hold on quite well to that. Actually, you don't continue that.
Yeah.
Because you've got good body rotation there, really. So because your body's working really well, you actually make it work a little bit better than maybe some people would do.
It could do, yeah. Okay.
But we need to maybe create a little bit more height in the backswing.
And when you say height, as in what?
We need to get your hands higher.
Oh, right, okay.
You know, we'll put a line like that and like that.
Yeah.
I want your hands a little bit more into the sort of middle of that area.
All right,
sort of
okay.
touching there.
Yeah.
That's going to give you room then to pull the club.
Is that more flatter? Is that my flatter then?
Your flat and a flat swing will encourage quite often the club to go outwards.
Over again, yeah.
You know, you stretch your body this way, it wants to go that way.
Yeah.
You know, you get it here, you got room and a bit of slack to put the club into the right place on the way down.
Yeah.
You know, you see top players, if they're going to do anything, they're going to get high.
Yeah.
And they're going to go get shallow. They're not going to go from here because it's just going to throw it out. They're throwing the power. They're not going to get the impact they want.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we want to get a little bit more height in the backswing.
Yeah.
To give you the room to do correct movements on the way down.
Okay.
So then we can get shaft lean and get a better ball flight.
Brilliant.
That's the ultimate.
That's the ultimate goal. So we should be sorted 5 minutes or so. We'll be done.
3 or 4 maybe.
Yeah.
A couple of trainers maybe. So in terms of adding loft, what's happened to the wrist that impact your wrists are doing sort of that motion.
Okay.
But it's not just that that's happening. It's actually that's being caused by this bit going wrong.
Okay.
The club goes out. By the time you get there, you're going to be hitting. Obviously, the extreme version is that,
yes.
isn't it? Somebody in that position. You hear it's just a little bit of adding loft and adding spin, and now and again, you'll start to roll.
Turn it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whereas if we get into this sort of position, you're not going to roll it from there. Okay. You're not going to add loft from there. Definitely not adding loft with that position. So.
Okay.
Let's get your backswing a little bit higher.
So is it in terms of more this kind of area?
Get the right elbow up a little bit higher, so it's not outwards though, so it's up and under that way.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't want you just to sort of get this way. I don't want you to sort of get the right elbow outwards. No, it's underneath and up.
Is that better?
Okay. You go higher than that. Okay. That's then going to create a little bit of room, sort of this sort of pulling down motion really, and that's going to create us the impact that we want. Okay.
That better position, yeah?
You want to have a few swings, a few shots just to get a feel for it.
Yeah.
So the backswings though, getting high is just going to allow us the room to make the correct movement. I say it's allowing your muscles a little bit more slack to be able to stretch on the start of the downswing, not to stretch in the backswing. If you stretch this way in the backswing, you know, all this is just going to want to throw it. And that's ultimately what we're doing within all the swing. Really, we're stretching it at the right time, not the wrong time. You know, if you stretch at the wrong time, somebody gets thinking, "Oh, I'm getting over the top. I want to get flatter." Well, you get flatter, you're probably going to come more over. Yeah. You're going to throw even more.
Is that a better position?
Okay, it's higher. Good. Keep going high, even higher than that. Just go crazy high. Just the highest swing you can possibly imagine. You might not get a good shot.
Yeah.
I just want you getting a little bit higher.
Okay.
Good.
I'm stretching muscles here, Barry. I didn't know existed.
That's the goal. Use your body properly. Oh, that's good. That you started to change the top of the backswing there. How you wanted to change it. It's just getting the comfort factor with that.
Yeah. It's also again in the kind of like in the mental side at the moment. It's like, have I got control of the club head in this kind of real awkward position I'm not used to?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But to be fair, those last few balls have been really. Again, the club head has met. I'm expecting to almost miss the ball, you know, but it's
definitely. Okay, so let's have a little look.
So here's a look at the changes from this sort of, like I say, quite a different position for me, isn't it? Or at least it feels like a massively probably.
What is the difference? You know, it's probably a difference of. You know, it's not. You know, it is a lot of big difference.
Yeah, you can see it closed up there, that gap, can't you?
Yeah, relative to the, you know,
Yeah.
Now, do you still make that over move? Probably.
Yeah.
What you did there.
Yeah. Yeah. Nowhere near as much, is it?
No, it's getting there. You know, you already sort of started to tweak things a little bit yourself.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's starting to feel hopefully a little bit more comfortable, but it's still need what, 5 or 6 swings, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that's the first bit to work on. The next bit, you know, I'm going to give you all the information today, obviously.
Yeah. I think to be fair though, I mean straight away, you know, I said when he first did, I was expecting it to feel really awkward, almost miss the ball, but very soon, like you said, 5 or 6 swings in, it's I was okay with that. You know,
sometimes it takes longer, but that's okay as well. You know, for the first 50 balls, it's like just give yourself a free chance to just miss hit it. Don't worry about it. Just hit it. Just swing
exactly.
Get the position. Film it is obviously critical that you're getting the club in the right place. It's not just a feeling of getting it in the right place.
It seems a really long swing all of a sudden. I must kind of like almost swing at 3/4 where I get to currently.
Now, if you filmed it from this angle here, you would see a relatively
difference.
compact swing.
We'll pick that up on that as well, maybe. Yeah.
Go on, let's knock a few more shots.
A few more of them, yeah.
So obviously, if, your first goal would be go away, work on that, get that comfortable. But you're getting that fairly well straight away, really. So we'll start to work on the next little bit, which is the change of direction, which is what at the minute is what's the actual, that was triggering it, but it's still happening. It's just habit now.
And this is kind of casting, isn't it? Is that what a lot of people refer to it as?
Yeah, it'd be casting, but we can cast from the right wrist, we can cast from internal rotation of your right shoulder, you can do it with your actual whole body, so there's different ways of doing it.
Okay, get you.
You're doing it in maybe a better way, it's coming out from a little bit from the wrist, but it's not like a massive over the top move really. Okay, so we need to work on the right elbow movement really. That's what getting the arms high is going to allow us to do this sort of motion with the elbow to start the outswing.
Okay.
Which if you want to throw a ball would look that way, wouldn't it?
Okay.
So we're going to stretch the shoulder this way and it's going to fire back out at the bottom.
Right.
Not do that. Sort of straight away.
Okay.
Okay, so go up to the top of the swing for me.
Can stop at the top.
Yeah. Okay, so your start of the downswing is really sort of a little move that, this is really sort of starting to push out that way.
Yes.
And what we want to be doing, and what you see in the biggest hitters is this elbow
comes in
doing this way. Yeah. You feel that?
Yeah.
Feel any tension there?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Once you get in there, effectively this is going to allow that to lean forward to impact.
Yeah.
Which will give you a lower flight, more consistent ball striking. Okay. Up to the top again. Start. Go on. Do it up to the top and stop
it. Yeah.
Okay. I say it's this feeling of that.
Yeah.
What happens when you do that? The shaft shallows down a little bit, so it doesn't. Instead of it coming in steeper, it comes in shallow.
And it's that way, is it?
That's it. Yeah. I eventually want your launch down at maybe 17, 18 degrees.
That's what it should be at.
Without thinning it. Though. There's ways that I could instantly give you a lower flight, just show you how to get to impact, and that's fine. We can sort of bluff it if you like.
Get short term,
But I want to build something a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
I want to build all the moves before that make that happen, not just. We might have to at some point maybe give you some feelings for what your hands need to do through impact.
Yeah.
But all this is going to allow that to actually work with a bit of speed as well. In terms of your body movement, it's really good. Hip movement, upper body movement, it's changing what your arms are doing.
Right.
Ultimately. But top of the backswing, let's have a little look. It's good.
It looks better, but for me, even not.
Now some people
a great deal. It looks better, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can. It looks like if he starts looking like a top player, there's a good thing.
I won't go that far, but it looks in a better position.
Pretty tidy.
Yeah.
Some people might describe that as a closed club face.
Okay.
That's only a problem if you roll your wrists.
Okay.
It's not really closed. It's just less open than most.
Okay.
Okay. So top of the swing.
Yeah.
Okay. We put a line down his. Line down his forearm. And look at the transition. Look at the elbow.
Yeah.
So we then get this. Where the hands
before the hands. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a bigger gap at the bottom where his elbow's moving compared to where his hands are moving.
Yeah.
Massive power in that.
Yeah. Not flat to that that swing.
Yeah. But that elbow.
Shaft, rather.
He's hitting a driver, so that's a little bit of it, but the elbow position and the elbow move creates that shaft shallow.
Right,
if I was to do that, the shaft would shallow, wouldn't it?
Yes.
If I do this, the shaft steepens.
Yeah.
So trying to shallow the shaft is not about just dropping your arms downwards and getting them around here somewhere.
Yeah.
The ideal way is to get that to do this. The shaft will shallow out. Pretty good body movement, but a scoop in action through impact slightly.
Yes.
An early release, and you've triggered that already. You've already had early release from the top of your swing.
Yes.
You were swinging very flat, which is stretching you into positions of one early release.
Yeah.
Unless you get it here and you sort of hold on, but you're not going to hit a ball just by holding like that. There's no power in it. So that's the next step. Now we might not get it as good as that move. That's pretty.
Be a bit of a leap for me, wouldn't it?
You'll be on the PGA Tour. But, we want to get that sort of stretch in your shoulder, effectively.
Yeah.
You get that stretch.
Yeah.
We can get the power let down the bottom end.
And seriously, kind of like the whole kind of. I can feel it in my body already in terms of using muscles that, like I said, aren't ordinarily used in my golf swing. So
it's not the stuff we use very often, is it? It's, if you were throwing a ball, if you're a cricketer, you might do a bit of that.
But it's just kind of getting used to that whole new movement, isn't it? And the sequence of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit weird at the moment because you get to the top of there and you're thinking about getting this elbow in, and so it's a whole mental change.
You know,
as well.
and you've also got the fact that, you know, when you get down the bottom here, the shaft to begin with would have been there.
Yeah.
And now maybe it's starting to
behind.
creep over here.
Yeah.
So your whole coordination has to change.
Yeah.
You know, you're saying you maybe been hitting a few fat shots recently. Well, you know, that's bottoming out, well, isn't it? So,
yes.
So somebody with, you know, initially would just hit it well fat.
Yeah.
And then maybe learn to stand up and not do that and flick it off the top of the turf. But you know, we're not trying to hit the ball that way. We're trying to hit it this way.
Brilliant.
A little exaggerated, but
Yeah, that's really where we want to be.
That's where we want to be getting towards. Yeah.
So that's the end of that first lesson for the average golfer. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Got obviously a fair bit to work on. So I'll maybe, what is it, week or 10 days, Barry, practice, 2 weeks or so?
2 to 3 weeks maybe.
2 to 3 weeks on that.
I think so.
See if I can get that more into a groove that I'm sort of comfortable with. And hopefully we'll get back in this bay again with Barry. Don't forget, we'll throw all of Barry's social media links down below, and also links to his website. He's based here 6 days a week up at Clark's Golf Centre. So if you fancy lessons yourself, then get yourself up here and get booked in with Barry. You book online, can you, Barry?
Book online, yeah, through the website. Yeah.
Brilliant, good. Like I say, hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to hit a few more practice shots and, like I said, see if I can get that into a bit of a groove. But certainly a good start, Barry. Enjoyed it. Thanks for that.
Always,
and we'll see you all soon on Upload TV.